with Mark Yoshimoto Nemkov.
So things have been hot and heavy with the Lauten LS-208 in the booth, and I have to tell you that Andrii over here, he wants to know what the 208 sounds like compared to the 4400. So we're not going to do that. Just kidding. We're going to do this. So let us check out the last two great mics to come through this booth. That both of these mics really have been revelations to me, I have to say. Overall, very, very much surprised, and delightfully so, by these two mics. So here is the 4400, and they do have different sonic signatures. The 4400 here in cardioid, the 4400 is an amazing mic because it has 4 polar patterns. If you are looking for a mic that is very versatile, that can cover a lot of ground, something that you can pick up now and keep forever, and always be glad that you had this mic in your locker, regardless of whether it's your primary mic or just a secondary mic or a thirdary mic or a fourthary mic, whatever mic this is in your collection. I guarantee that you will find use for it because it has a great neutral, little bit bright neutral sound to it. And overall, I think that I don't think you can really go wrong with the 4400. And then here on the 208, the 208 to me feels like a mic that solves problems. That's the way I think I describe the 208. And the problems that I think are involved here in this discussion have to do a lot with the rejection of outside noise from, outside off axis is what I'm trying to say. It has been that kind of morning. I need a sip of coffee. Oh, this new espresso roast I got. It's a little bitter, but I like it. So the problems of resonance in the booth, the problems of rejecting off-axis signal, right? Noise, sound. Rejecting off. I need another sip of coffee. The practice of rejecting off. Oh my God. I'm not going to start over. Here we go. So rejecting off-axis sound is something that the 208 does extremely well. And so it lends itself to a much, a tighter sound overall than that with the 4400. The 4400 has what you can feel as a much richer, more full sound, especially in the low mids. And it does not lack for high end. It does not lack for a little bit of detail and air on the high end. It's got a brightness to it, but not one that I find is too peaky or annoying, which is something that is very common with way too many mics, way too many, let's just call them affordable mics, sound like affordable mics. This is an affordable mic that sounds like a much less affordable mic, if you get my drift. So overall, right, the 4400 in cardioid is something that you will use on most use cases. But again, you have 4 polar patterns here. So, you may find use for figure 8, for omni. But I think if you do voice work, if you do content work, the other pattern that you would want to look at for sure is hypercard. Now, with hypercard, you're getting a little bit more focused. You feel a little bit more density in the low end. Really, with hypercard, I want it to be I can be a little further off the mic and still capture, the frequencies that you need to capture for your voice. Overall. Oh, and let me just address something real quick. I'm just looking at my picture here on screen. So if this looks like it's a little low, right? The capsule here is pointed right here, as is this. So they're really pointing to the same part of my face. So this is basically how I would use them. The 4400 in hypercard versus the 4400 in cardioid. And when you go back to cardioid, you feel like you get a little bit more detail. Some of that detail, some of that nuance is a little bit, I would say, smoothed out when you get into hypercard. But you get a little bit more of the room. You get a little bit more dynamics. It's a great sound. Again, these are different sounding mics. And here again, you get that much tighter, much more, I would say more, I don't want to say more aggressive, but more focused sound. I have them both set with the lowest high pass that you can set. On the 208, it's set at 50. And on the 4400, it's set at 60. So, I mean, it's close enough to give you a pretty reasonable comparison of the two. Overall, I love the 4400. I think the 4400 is an amazing mic. And I think that if you get the 4400, don't just use it in cardioid. You can get the 4100. And the 4100, from everything that I've seen, from the things that people have presented online, the 4100, go check out the Time Preservation Society review of the 4100. And he's also done the 4400. But, you listen to it, and the cardioid sound of these mics is fantastic. The one thing that I don't really love about it, for general purpose voiceover, I think there's definitely a place for this. I think it feels natural. I think it feels like neutral, but a little bit forward in a way, because you're getting more that high end. So I think this works great. But when it comes to the kind of work that I do, like really taking out a lot of that lower mid resonance allows my voiceover to sit a little bit better on a track, on a commercial. So whereas I would use this sound for a commercial, commercial sound, advertising, I don't want to call it advertising sound, something that needs to cut through a bed, something that feels a little bit more present than this. This feels a little bit more relaxed, laid back. This is more of a narration kind of sound. So Andrii, and I regretfully apologize if I have mispronounced your name, because I'm an idiot. He asked, he was thinking about which one to get next, and the question has become, what's the value proposition? I think that's what we really have to think about. The 4400 generally sells for, I would say, at least $100 less than the 208. The 4400, if you're looking at a mic to be your first mic and you're looking at a mic to do a lot of different things, you can get this great sound in cardioid. You can get this nice focused, more, if you're doing DJ work, right? A nice little bit more boom in the room here on the low end with the hypercard, and a little bit more neutral. I mean, this is great. Like, I can't fault the 4400 at all for anything. The 4400 is an incredible mic, and especially for sub 500 US. I mean, great deal. Absolutely great deal. And then you get the 208. And the 208 does this one thing that really just blows my mind. And so when you put the high pass on 120, the way these tracks can sit on top of a bed, the way this works, and again, in voiceover, right? It's not the product that you should be providing to your client is not that which is the best sounding version of your voice. It's the correct sounding version of your voice for the type of work that you do. Okay? You have to skate to where the puck is going to be, not where the puck is right now. That's a very obscure Wayne Gretzky reference that I've dropped a bunch of times, but the idea that this works for so much stuff, right? Because of this filter, because of the rejection, because I'm not getting the room resonance. So in a more compromised recording environment, in a situation where I am in a less treated space. I mean, here I'm in a highly treated space. So, I'm taking advantage of the 208's ability to reject off-axis sound to mitigate some of that low-end resonance that a sensitive condenser mic can capture. Let me put it back to 50. So here we go, back to the 4400. And, and again, you feel the 4400 just has a lot more going on in the lows and low mids. And that's great. And again, like if you are talking, if you're doing content, if you're not necessarily talking over a bed, and both these mics, of course, have no EQ on them. I should have mentioned that 10 minutes ago. But if you're doing narrative work, If you're doing the kind of work that, where the full frequency response of the lows and low mids here, everything really below 1,000 hertz, if that really benefits the sound of what you do, this is a great choice. So I think the question had become which one to buy first. And I would say that if you're looking at either of these, it really depends on what your use case is. Now, for me, my first choice is the 208 over the 4400 because the 208 just does a little bit more of what I need it to do. It's a little bit tighter. It's a little bit more aggressive, I would say. And the 4400, with the EQ, you could get this thing to sound probably, very reasonably close to that. But overall, I would say that in the general scheme of things, this is the first mic you buy, the 4400. And then you buy the 208 down the road, because this is going to do more than this. This is a specialty mic. This is a specialty mic, and it works great for what I do. But if you're looking for a general purpose microphone that will do a lot of things, you cannot go wrong with the 4400. This is an exceptional mic for everything. It's really one of the great all-rounders, especially in the sub $1,000 range. I would think overall, what this does, just a little bit of extra brightness to it over a 414, and 414s just don't sound right to me anymore. They sound a little bit too deep in the bottom end and a little bit too not quite there for my voice. And so overall, I mean, I would use this on work if this was my option. But if I had to choose between the two, for what I do, I'm choosing the 208. So, Andrii, oh God, did I mispronounce your name like 4 times today? I apologize. Anyway, so that is my way too long assessment of a comparison between the two. And hopefully you heard me just gab through both of them enough to get an idea of what you prefer. Do you like the 4400? The 4400 just sounds incredible, doesn't it? I mean, it really is a great mic. And the 208 just has it really has a great sound signature for voiceover. I really like it. I definitely pick this over the 416 any day. And I will fight you over that. I will die on that hill. So what do you think? Which one do you like better? I have a feeling a lot of you are going to say, I like the 4400 better. I think a lot of you are going to say the 4400 sounds a little bit more full and sounds a little bit more natural. And it does. It absolutely does. I do. I love both these mics. I do. I love being here in this little love triangle between these mics. So I think we need a little private time. So I'm going to cut this short. Cut this short at 13 minutes. So, all right. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. All right. Until next time. This is Mark Yoshimoto Nemcoff. Fading to black.